There's a reason to it why he says it's far, far, far away. George Horst is, I cannot speak against anyone, right? I don't even like to speak against anyone, but just since you mentioned Comma.ai, so Comma.ai had been working on enabling autonomous driving technology via what we call end-to-end deep learning. It is just never going to work. And even in that, they didn't use what we call reinforcement learning. So just let me just briefly describe you the area of AI, if I may. Right.
Yes,
So
please.
AI, as we know, all is nothing but applied mathematics, right?
Right.
Applied mathematics. You have different. One of the most popular branches of AI is machine learning, and machine learning is further subdivided into several different branches of so one of the most prominent branches is neural networks, and that has given rise to the field known as deep learning, right? And what we call today is deep neural networks. Likewise, there are different fields, graphical models. Now, one of the areas of machine learning which helps in sequential decision making, right? So what happens in machine learning? You try to learn some function that matches the input data to the target output, right? And if you can provide labels, maybe there's supervised, unsupervised learning, but I won't go into that as of now. So in simplest sense, you have a data. Now, with that data, you try to learn a function that matches the input to the desired output. So this is what machine learning is. Now, there's a branch of machine learning which is known as reinforcement learning. So it is useful in the temporal task where you have to make a sequential decision. So what happens in reinforcement learning? The robot or the agent is in some state. From that state, you take some action based on all the actions that are available to you, and you make a transition to a next state. And that next state, when you make a transition to that, the environment gives you a reward signal. And then through these reward signals, you actually learn a good or bad policy or an optimal policy for a certain behavior, right? For example, it is used in robotics very heavily. For sequential decision making. So one of the what I noticed about George Horst and his claims to autonomous driving is that they were trying to work. They were trying to develop the entire autonomous driving technology. They're assuming that the vehicle can be controlled by a single deep neural network framework. And this is never going to happen, because if you try to do that, then you would have to show your vehicle almost every given scenario that it can encounter, any corner case scenario over and over again, maybe 100,000 times every scenario. And how many scenarios can you actually show to a vehicle? And that's why his claim also says that you need trillion miles before you can actually demo any practical autonomous driving. And this is why his model is not going to work, and that is why I think the Comma.ai shut down their autonomous driving division, if I'm not wrong. I mean, they are currently working on ADAS, right? I mean, there is not a single company who is actually trying to work on the same model. I mean, we can show you the kind of autonomous driving that George Horst is trying to achieve in a day, right? You come here, we'll try to collect lots and lots of data with our vehicle, and within a day, our vehicle would be able to, run in a campus in an end-to-end fashion, right? But the moment you try to take your vehicle outside with any situation that it has never seen before, it will not be able to react to that situation. Now, one of the intelligent ways to actually build is maybe you can use reinforcement, where you show, some of the cases, and the vehicle, tries to build on that representation that is being built as a result of using the reinforcement. So one of the companies who is using RL, there are almost every company who is working on autonomous driving has to use RL at some point.
Right.
But one of the good examples is Wave.ai, WAYVE, if I remember. Wave.ai is a UK-based company. They're already, they have raised, several $1 million in funding as well. So their claim is actually mapless navigation using end-to-end reinforcement learning, right? But I read only a few of the papers that are available on their website, through their website, but I do not know whether they are trying to work in pure end-to-end fashion. So what happens is that you try to use deep learning. If you want to really solve the autonomous driving problem, you use all these components, all these tools, the deep learning, deep reinforcement, or any different branch of AI. You try to use them as a tool to solve a particular subtask, but you cannot say, okay, I will just build a super deep network framework and I'll try to show it every example that I can and hope that it will try to accommodate to every situation and it will try to learn an action given any situation that the vehicle may encounter and its path. It's very naive way to begin autonomous driving. Maybe one day, maybe 30, 40 years from now, when we have that kind of data and that kind of compute resource to build a really large, neural network with the use of reinforcement learning, not without the use of reinforcement learning. Maybe then, yes, if you have a simulator as well, when the vehicle can, simulate different kinds of traffic situations, and there's intelligent search algorithms that you also use to actually try to find out what are the corner cases the vehicle has not seen yet, and you can precisely focus in those segments, those corner cases, then perhaps yes, but not right now. I mean, you have to be more intelligent than just putting an end-to-end deep learning in your vehicle and